Mazel tov, heilige Woche to everybody. So, Lemaisa, since this is, after all, a halacha share time scheduled in, we should start learning a little bit of halachas. And the emes is we don't have that much time. I went through the schedule of the Luach. We don't have so much time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to learn many of the halachas that we have to get to. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to start now. I'm sure in the middle, somewhere along the lines, we'll stop and we'll do other things. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go Keseda, starting from Inyonei Elul, and then we're going to go on to Selichos, Rosh Hashana, obviously starting with Erev Rosh Hashana itself, and then of course the days in between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, Erev Yom Kippur itself, and then we're going to get to a little bit of, if we can, Be'ez Hashem Abba Lenu the Tova, the Heilige Yom Tov of Sukkos, with the Inyonim of both Dalet Minim and sitting in a, or maybe even building, depending on how much time we have, in a sukkah. A tremendous amount of shilas that we have to get to, Be'ez Hashem. So let's just get to a couple of things. Elul is a very choshev zman hamelech basada so state in the Svarim HaKadoshim, which means it's Yemei Rachamim, it's the time that we're able to work on ourselves better than any other time. We prepare 30 days before we are judged in front of the Melech Melchei Hamlochim, and we start preparing ourselves. And it's very, very important. Many people have different minhagim. For example, some people have minhagim to say Tehillim twice over the whole Elul. In other words, by the way, if you didn't start yet, just start today. You have Tehillim, you have art scrolls at the bottom over there, the strong shanks by the Sidurim. Start saying a bit of Tehillim when you got a bit of, when something's a bit hard to sit down and learn for the whole Seder. So maybe open up a Tehillim, walk around, say some Tehillim, try to finish Tehillim twice over the whole Elul. Again, you don't have to. It's a nice minig that people are noyig. To be marbeh, to increase limud Torah, to increase the limud of Musa, big Indian to learn Mishnayos as well. Many people check their tefillin during Elul. Many people have the minhag to go to Gedolim to get brachos. We were zoicha, and by the way, we were really zoicha on Thursday night, something that not everyone has a schos to do, and we were able to see and get brachos directly, literally, from the Heilige Yenuka, something which is not very, very common. We were zoicha to, many boys spoke to him, many boys asked what they wanted. Absolutely amazing, really, really special. In fact, I spoke to some of the Gaboyim on Friday, and I spoke to them again last night, because I saw again the Yenuka last night, and they told me that, oh my gosh, what you guys got with the Yenuka, the boys from Yeshiva, very unusual. Very unusual, as you heard the words, right? I want to be connected to this yeshiva on the highest level. That's what he said. The Gaboim were telling me last night, like, oh my gosh, we spoke about the yeshiva, so Be'ez Hashem, more coming, watch this space, as they say. But we were zoicha to get a tremendous bracha from him before Yomim Naroim, so that is very, very choshev. By the way, Shevet HaLevi Rav Ozna has a tshuva that he writes. We all know the Shulchan Aruch in the beginning of the Hilchos Erev Rosh Hashanah talks about Selichos. And the Shulchan Aruch says the minig is that we start Selichos in the beginning of Elul, which is what the Sfadim Taka do. They start saying Selichos in the beginning of Elul, right? Beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul, after Rosh Chodesh, boom, they're starting to say Selichos for the ganze Chodesh, for the whole month of Elul. The Ramah says, no, that's not our minig. We start saying Selichos a little bit later. We'll get to that in a moment, and we'll talk about that Be'ez Hashem because it's coming up. But Al Kaponim, Rav Ozna brings down the Shevet HaLevi, and that he says the Ramah is not cholik on the getting up early. Shulchan Aruch says get up early to say Selichos and Elul. The Ramah says no, our minig is to start Selichos later. The Ramah doesn't say our minig is not to get up early. He wasn't cholik on the getting up early part. He was just cholik on the part that we don't start Selichos in the beginning of Elul. So it comes out according to that. The Ramah seems to be asking the Shulchan Aruch, get up earlier. Elul is a time of preparation. The court case is happening. Chaperayim, whatever you can, and try to prepare yourself in the best way possible. By the way, a halacha. I'm sure he said it by mistake, but there was a boy who happened to mention, I think it was Shabbos afternoon, by Mincha, oh my gosh, right, LeDavid. I think I've said LeDavid once yet, right? So let's just talk for a moment about LeDavid Hashem. Oyu v'yishid, Mishnah Berurah brings this down, La'alacha, Tovkuf Pei Aleph. The meaning is to Tehillim Chov Zayim, which is LeDavid, from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Hashana Rabbah, which is about the minig. It's, by the way, a big skula to be zoicha in din. If a person wants to be zoicha in the din, say say LeDavid, about the Mekubalim write big things about people that say LeDavid properly. It's meant to be said benachas, it's meant to be said bekavona, so you understand, maybe once look in the Art Scroll Siddur, so you can actually understand what the words are. It's amazing, amazing thing. Really beautiful, beautiful words of David HaMelech. Have a look at that. Of course, there are different minhagim. Nusach Ashkenaz says it by Mariv, obviously Shachris also, everyone says it by Shachris, but also by Mariv. Our Nusach is Nusach Sfard, and we say it by Mincha. And that's what the Olam should do if you are davening over here, unless you have a minhag otherwise. Now, Selichos, let's talk a moment about Selichos. This Motzei Shabbos, Abba Aleinu L'Tova, we're starting Selichos. Can you imagine? We're starting Selichos. This is it. It's getting like, if the shofar after davening on, Shachris during Chodesh Elul didn't get you yet, this is it. We're starting Selichos. This Motzei Shabbos. We're starting Selichos, and this Beis HaMedrash, we're going to be having Selichos Motzei Shabbos, Kafi a minhag of Rov Klal Yisrael to start Selichos. Now, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting why we start Selichos the way that we do. So the halacha is, even though I mentioned a moment ago, the Shulchan Aruch said that we start Selichos in the beginning of Elul, the Ramah says, no, we don't. Our minhag is not that way. We have to have a minimum of 4 days before Rosh Hashana to say Selichos, which in some years means you start the Motzei Shabbos before Rosh Hashana. If, for example, Rosh Hashana will be Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, whatever, so you got 4 days before to say Selichos. This year, Rosh Hashana is the middle of the week, which means we have to start the whole week before. So it gives us a bit of extra time to get involved in the sugya. And the reason, of course, for this is just like a korban requires bidika, checking, investigation, before you bring the korban to make sure there is no mum, there is no blemish. Good morning, Aaron. Therefore, the same is true by ourselves. Before Rosh Hashanah, we need to come to Rosh Hashanah prepared. Memela, we make sure we investigate, we check into ourselves, and that's what Selichos is. Selichos is we're checking into ourselves over there. By the way, the Shibola Aleka brings down, many Rishonim actually, brings down an interesting minhag to say Selichos the nearest Monday or Thursday. None of the posts can bring this down, but the Shibola Aleka does indeed bring that down. Some people actually, and that's the minhag by us and most communities, is they start Motzei Shabbos. Even though it could be that the best time to daven Selichos is always early morning, however, the first night of Selichos always seems to be, for most people, is always after Chatzos, at Chatzos on Motzei Shabbos. And the reason for that is, the Lekut Yosher brings from his Rebbe, the Trumas Hadeshen, why do we start Selichos? Everyone does Motzei Shabbos. But then after that, they'll all do Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. Why the first night generally? Again, of course, you could do it on Sunday morning, but most places have a minhag to do it on Motzei Shabbos. So the Trumas Hadeshen says, because after Shabbos Kodesh, a person is b'menuchas hanefesh, he's relaxed, he feels good, he has the kedusha of Shabbos Kodesh with him, the Mele is able to say Selichos in that case, and he prepares himself in that way. So that's the reason why the Lekut Yosher brings down that we start Motzei Shabbos over there. Very, very important, by the way. Some halachos for Selichos, and then we'll end over here, just because there's a lot of different things that we'll get to tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, Erev Rosh Hashanah. But when it comes to Selichos, for example, so people think the main part of Selichos is like the main part. Ashrei in the beginning, say that if you come late, you miss Ashrei. You have to realize in many Svarim it's brought down that they only started, the whole thing is Ashrei, and Agav Ashrei, they added a few other things also. Ashrei is a very important chelek of Selichos. People skip that because they haven't got time. Don't skip it. If you are saying Selichos in the morning, here in Yeshiva, by the way, we say Selichos by night, but if for whatever reason you missed it or whatever it is, you want to say it in the morning, make sure you say Birchas HaTorah before Selichos. You must say Birchas HaTorah in the morning. The Birkei Yosef goes on and on and on and on. How a person should not be saying Selichos fast, running through it, whatever it is. This is something that's said Benachas, especially the Yud Gimel Midas, Hashem Hashem, that we call out and we say Barabim B'tzibur together. You're not allowed to say it by yourself. So if, for example, you're in the middle of Selichos and all of a sudden, and then everyone says Hashem Hashem, stop wherever you are, say Hashem Hashem. By the way, it's 7 in the morning, right, by Shachris, when we have, or even Mincha, when Shachris, when we have Tachnun, as well, the same thing as well, by the way. Wherever you're davening, unless you're in Shemanes, obviously Krishma, but I'm not going to go into that now, but if you're in a normal place, then you could stop. Then that's what you should do. Hashem, Hashem needs to be said with the tzibur. Especially during Selichos, when we say it a bunch of times, whenever you hear the tzibur saying, Vayahava, and they say Hashem, Hashem together, stop, say Hashem, Hashem, go back to where you are. By the way, if for whatever reason Selichos is too fast for you, whether you daven here or somewhere else, rather say one pisman, say one paragraph slowly with kavana, get an art scroll interlinear, whatever it may be. Say one bekavana rather than saying all of them quickly and you understand nothing. Okay? So make sure you try to do that as well. Standing, it's definitely good to stand for the entire Selichos. It's not that long, maybe in other places, definitely not here. So it's definitely good to stand for the entire Selichos. But if it's, for example, very difficult for you or you don't feel well or whatever, so then you could sit down, but of course you have to stand up for the Vidoi, Kel Melech Rachamim, and Yud Gimel Midas. So those are very important halachos of Selichos that the Olam should know. But Be'emes, Selichos gives ourselves the opportunity, so we don't just rush into a Rosh Hashana, we don't just rock up to shul and say, okay, Rosh Hashana. We had a few days before, here we have a week and a few days before Rosh Hashana to get ourselves prepared, to check the korban, which we're about to be makriv ourselves to the Rabbeinu Shalom. We'll speak more about it, Be'ez Hashem, Motzei Shabbos. We're going to be starting Selichos here, Motzei Shabbos. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow morning, Rabbi Isai, we're going to start with the halachas of Erev Rosh Hashana. Don't miss the halachas of Erev Rosh Hashana, very important halachas. I want to wish everyone a wonderful and beautiful, healthy day.